Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, a.k.a. PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative Podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussion of the worlds of pop culture, social media, sports, all that jazz. We talk about it all here. Really excited to be joined by Josh Mikel. Josh is an actor. You've seen him in many things such as, The Walking Dead, for horror movie fans, The Last Shift, and he is also currently starring in Game Night, which is a comedy and action movie with Jason Bateman and McAdams. So I'm pleased to have Josh Mikel with us. Josh, welcome to Popternative, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
For sure. We joked about it on before going on air, but it's a good time to be Josh Mikel. You got a lot of cool projects going on.
Dude, I've been fortunate. It's been crazy. It's there's so much stuff going on in Atlanta, so I've just kind of been shooting fish in a barrel here. Fortunately, with a smaller talent pool and a being a dude of a certain look, it helps me pick up some of this stuff. So it's been awesome. Yeah.
When did you kind of decide that this is what you wanted to do? I mean, I like kind of putting actors and actresses in that kind of storyteller category. You guys are telling stories. When did you kind of want to do start to think about doing that as a career?
I went to school for it. So I started doing theater in high school, and then I went to Florida State to study creative writing and theater. And they have an excellent film program down there. So just by nature of being in the school of theater and seeing these student films and stuff, I got involved with that. And it's just so much fun. I kind of was resigned to not work a day job after that point, and just did what I could to tell stories.
Television has come a long way. Television, one can make an argument that, film was always the prominent medium of entertainment, and then television kind of was a second with, Netflix and all the digital media streaming services. I mean, I don't think that's the case anymore. TV is going head to head now with film. What, from your perspective and your experiences, what have you noticed that's interested you the most about the evolution of television over the past couple of years, Josh?
I mean, it's amazing because, as an actor, it's exciting. It's an exciting time because the writing is so good, and obviously there was really well-written stuff before. But I think really, when The Sopranos came around and you see this character that has such an arc and is such an anti-hero and I think it paved the way for a lot of sexy television. And, for an actor, it's so exciting to carry a character like that. So to be able to have that experience, and it's not just a couple of scenes in a film, but you can really see a character evolve, and you're kind of hand in hand with really excellent writers who are writing fantastic stuff for actors.
You were the third guest on Popternative that has been on The Walking Dead. Steve Coulter played Reg, and Neil Brown Jr., who's also been on some episodes, have been on. They talk a little bit about, Steve Coulter touched on it mostly, but The Walking Dead social media fan base is phenomenal. There's support all around, you know what I mean? Could you touch a little bit about that? I mean, I'm sure it's incredible to be a part of.
It's an incredible thing. I mean, yeah, the show has. That's what I keep saying, and I've said a couple of times on set, looking around at the dudes, we're doing the same work that I did on every other show. Same preparation, same audition type of style, and the same kind of on set work. You come in, you know your lines, hit your marks, and all that. But it's just a show that just so happens to have 13 million viewers and an amazing fan base, and these people who are so diehard fans. It's funny too because you can kind of get a sense that people that what they want to hear about is The Walking Dead 9 times out of 10. No, 99 times out of 100. So even on Twitter, I'm pretty politically vocal and whatever, and you kind of get a sense that when I post something about The Walking Dead, it blows up. When I post anything else, it's
Absolutely. Do you see it too as, so for example, I had Rick Overton on my show. He's an actor, writer, comedian, and he played the Drake on one episode of Seinfeld, the parking spot episode.
Right.
And and it's one episode, but we all know how iconic Seinfeld is, and he is always like but he's done so many things, right? Like yourself, you've done a lot of things besides Walking Dead, right? But
yeah.
He said and I said, is it a bit frustrating sometimes where the only thing people want to talk about is you as the Drake on Seinfeld? He says no, because the whole point of being an artist is to do something that you'll be remembered by. So when people talk, because you've done so many cool things, I mentioned, Last Shift and all that, but people know you from The Walking Dead, and then you do 4 or 5 projects down the road, but they still mention Walking Dead. That's not going to kind of be a distraction at all. You're thankful for that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm particularly proud of the character I play on Walking Dead, particularly proud of what the writers have allowed me to do, and, the opportunity that the team has given me. So, I hope I'm talking about it till I'm dead. It's fun,
Absolutely. It's one of those things too where I find you have a lot of more opportunities now, because there's so many different places for shows and TV and film to have a home. There's Netflix, Hulu, and even shows that were on HBO, or people can just access them digitally online. So it's unbelievable. There's amount of content. What are you kind of thankful for the most in that shift of the industry? Because it's an opportunity for more work, right? But it's an opportunity for more exposure. Is there also a networking component to it, to the point where you meet more people because there's more opportunities to do 2 or 3 episodes on one show, right? There's so much that goes into it, I bet.
Yeah, it's amazing too, because the accessibility of past work. So sometimes where something like Last Shift may have dissolved into the ether of Blockbuster Video, and the interior shelves. It's something that people can talk about and continue talking about it, and there's just so much content, and it's an amazing thing, an amazing time to be in the profession, because there's so much good writing happening, especially in television, and so much content being created, and that stuff sticks around, and you can suddenly ride a wave that just appeared out of nowhere because someone watched something you were in 10 years ago and tweeted about it.
Absolutely. We'll get into game night soon, because that's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about game night. Before we go into game night, let's talk a little bit about the horror genre, because we mentioned Last Shift. I think the last 3 years have been phenomenal for horror movies. It is unbelievable. The amount of content, the quality of it has been remarkable. And I think there's been a little bit of a creative boom, where it's not just about the jump scares. It's not just about the creepy makeup and the blood and everything. It's about the actual stories. You see that with Get Out. You see that with Happy Death Day. You see that with Last Shift. The Invitation was one I really liked on Netflix. Would You Rather? It's unbelievable that we've gone way beyond just kind of the gore and the bloody, disgusting aspect of it. And you see that Last Shift, where it's an intelligent film. What do you kind of think about that? Is that something you've noticed as well? There's been a big shift and a big creative boom in the horror film industry.
Absolutely. One of my best friends, Ryan Spindell, he's a horror director, and I did one of my first films with him at Florida State. It's a film called Kirkstone, and you can find it online. It's a short student film, and it played the festival circuit like crazy, and it's just a really fantastic film. But that his whole thing, is for the longest time that people weren't writing good material for horror, that it was just kind of an overlooked genre, because it was so easy to create a horror film, and people, there is a cushion for it, because you can create a terrible horror film, but people will still watch it because that very reason, because it's terrible. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this, recently it's just such a genesis of horror directors and people who are creating really fantastic content, and topical content like Get Out, obviously, and a buddy I went to school with, Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson, they're the directors of Spring, and they have a couple of films out. But they, I consider them really intelligent filmmakers, not just horror directors. They're not, I think there is a new, and I think Walking Dead had to do with that. I think a lot of the stuff that was coming out that was well written genre stuff. It paved the way for a lot of folks to be creating really awesome stuff in horror now.
Absolutely, and for people who have not seen The Last Shift starring Josh Mikel, you must do so. And I warn you though that his character is terrifying. You will get nightmares. You're terrifying in that, even from the trailer, because they show a lot of you in the trailer, which surprises a lot of people because it's almost like I wouldn't say it's like a spoiler, but like you're in the trailer a lot, and it's one of those things where your character does a lot of the crazy things in that movie, and it's like surprising. So you see what you look like in the trailer, you're just like, oh my god, this is what horror, like this is what nightmares are made of.
Yeah, what's funny too, I appreciate you saying so, but that's definitely one I wish I could have back, because I think my approach into that character, it's not something I do now. I think if the way I would approach it now would be completely different. And, so I'm a bit frustrated with my performance in that, but I'm happy folks dug it and dig it.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so Game Night. Let's talk about Game Night. Feature film. Talk a little bit about. Give our viewers a little bit of like a synopsis of what the film is about, and talk a little bit about your character in it, because it is a prominent role, I believe.
Yeah. It's I don't want to talk too much about my character because I think it gives a little bit away. But
okay.
I play my your prototypical thug. Kind of common to my resume. But the film is about Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman, who are a couple. They met at a game night, and that happens very early in the film. And Jason Bateman's been living in his brother Kyle Chandler's Brooks, his shadow, and they have a game night, and Brooks is trying to upstage him with a better kind of murder mystery game night, and then things kind of unravel and hilarity ensues, and it's really a blast. If you haven't seen it yet, have you?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's incredible. It was funny. It was funny as hell on the page, and then just seeing how it came together. Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly really did right by Mark Perez's script, and it's rare that something looks good on the page and then is better in once it's executed. And a lot of times you see, oh man, they maybe made a wrong choice there or that or the other. But this one, it went from a great script to a even better film.
I'm sure you're not getting away without talking about your music career, your music path as well, because we got to talk about that, because I'm a drummer as well.
Awesome. And
that's where PD Beats came from. That's where it came from. So how do you kind of balance that too, right? Because the touring it's a long process depending on how long the tour is, right? So yeah. How do you balance that, Josh? Like going from being an actor, being a musician, that's pretty crazy too, that you're able to balance everything.
Well, we're fortunate now. Things have slowed down, particularly with my band Look Mexico. But we're still playing shows. It's just we used to be touring 7 to 9 months out of the year, but now it's slowed down. Everybody's got families and careers, and so now we get together and play maybe 4 or 5 times a year, 4 or 5 different weekends. But we have a string of shows coming up. In April, we're playing 420. No particular reason. But we're playing Gainesville, Florida, Atlanta, and Tallahassee, and Athens, I think.
Do you enjoy touring? Like, is that something you like? Because it's hit or miss for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people love playing music, but they just can't deal with the touring. They can't deal with being away from family for such a long time, and the life on the road is tough. It's tough.
Yeah, we were in a fortunate place right out of college when we did the bulk of our touring, and it's amazing because you start to develop little pockets of fans, and then you also develop pockets of friends in certain areas. So, it's just like going to see all your friends, and you get to see family, and it's rare that it's a rare career that folks are able to touch base with their friends all across the country on a even biannual basis, which is what we were doing. I was fortunate that you get to see friends in California a couple times a year. You get to go up to New York a couple times a year. It's an amazing thing. It can be frustrating, but I think my life is less awesome the less I've toured, honestly.
I feel like it's gonna be a bit hard to pick one, so I'll let you pick one, like a couple. But what has been kind of the coolest moment in your career thus far as an actor and as a musician? I mean, you can bring up a bunch. Like, I mean, I know like it's gonna be hard to say like, oh, this one like trumps all the other ones, stumps all the other ones, because there's so many. But is there stuff that come to mind?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, my first day on Walking Dead was amazing because I was getting to work with Lenny James and the whole crew. Who it was their early days. So Cooper and Jason Warner Smith and Carlos and Carrie, and just an amazing group of folks who, and even the extras that day, being able to work on a show that is such a well-oiled machine, and then also have the freedom to play around. So they gave me a lot of freedom to be a real dick, and Greg Nicotero directing that episode. It was just an amazing day. I've gotten to work with Robert De Niro. I've gotten to work with Sam Jackson and John Cusack and Bruce Willis and Zac Efron, and it's just an amazing. It's just been wild. Even if and a lot of this stuff is day player roles, but just to show up and be in the presence of somebody that has such a storied career. As far as the band, we a couple of years back we played our 10th anniversary show, and that was an amazing time because we got a lot of the ex-members of the band who had to break away at certain points to live out their lives. We all got back together and played one of the longer sets we've ever played to a raucous crowd, and it was one of the more memorable shows we've ever played.
And what do you also think about? I find it interesting too that you got like Look Mexico, playing in a band. I mean, did you kind of? Because I'm sure you'd play shows. Now, were you a lot active playing shows after The Walking Dead, like in Look Mexico, or was that before?
Yeah. So we basically the night my first Walking Dead episode aired, we were playing a big festival in Gainesville, the Fest that we played a bunch, and so we were still playing, not a ton. But still playing it.
Okay, because I'm wondering if that would like attract fans to Look Mexico. I mean, it's true. I mean, I don't know if like you or the bandmates would want to like, kind of advertise like featuring Josh Mikel. I see like no one ever wants to do that, but it's gonna happen, right? Like you tweet it out. You have your diehard Walking Dead fans that are gonna make their way to the show.
Yeah, I would love it.
It's great. It's gravy on the mashed potatoes. It's bonus.
Exactly. I would love it. And like there's precedent for it, right? Because like even Jesse Plemons, who I work with in Game Night, he plays in a band. Jason Schwartzman played drums with Phantom Planet for a long time, and it's a
great band. That band's so good.
They were so good.
So good.
I guess they're still so good. I don't know.
I don't even like the OC song as like one of their it's a good song, but they have so many better songs than that one.
Yeah, that Lonely Days song is a great jam.
Big Brat is one of my favorites.
That's a good jam.
Yeah, they have good ones. But yeah, sorry, continue.
No, well, yeah, it's I welcome it if it happens. If it gets more people to our shows and more people to listen to our music, that's kind of always been a bit of my dream. I had a friend reach out who is starting to work with cruise lines and stuff, and they were handling the Walker Stalker cruise, and he mentioned maybe running it by his higher ups if Look Mexico could play the cruise, and I was like, that's absolutely my dream for these worlds to collide. And
that'd be crazy.
Yeah, and like a couple of us have started playing music for film and television stuff. Ryan Slate, the guitarist in the band, he started scoring. He scored a short film for me and has scored a film for a buddy. So there's a lot of crossover. Anything creative, I think there's a lot of crossover and play back and forth.
We'll wrap up, but I actually just thought of a really interesting question. I see there's a lot of stuff these days happening where it's a lot of film and TV about musicians.
Yeah.
And I saw, and I'm pumped for it, but Netflix greenlit the Dirt, it's going to be called. It's the Motley Crue biopic.
Right.
And I always thought it interesting. Do you find that actors and actresses that play an instrument or musicians have an advantage of possibly going in and playing a musician on the big screen? Have you ever thought about that? I'm curious about that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You'd be hard pressed to not cast true musicians in those roles. I mean, it's always because there's so many musicians, and you could tell when someone's not playing what the sound design is like, or what the song is that they're supposed to be playing. Like Nashville, for instance, all those dudes are talented musicians in their own right. They haven't worked on that show. Are you still there? Sorry.
Oh yeah.
It got stuck. But yeah, having worked on that show for a second, it really. Sorry, joining with audio only could help. No. All right, sorry. So the network was having trouble.
That's all good.
Yeah, they were all super talented and played, had been playing music for a long, long time. And I'm working on that film actually here in March.
The Dirt?
Yeah.
Well, who do you play in it?
I don't know if I can. It's a bit part.
I can't wait for that because I'm a big Motley Crue fan. Like my uncle brought me to see them when I was younger, and I was like, the Carnival of Sins tour, and I was like, this is awesome.
That's
like,
awesome, great.
Yeah.
An amazing story too. An amazing story for people who partied and drank too much.
I love how I just kind of like associated you with that movie for some reason because of the rock and roll aspect of it, and you're actually in it. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny. And I'm not playing music, but it's a cool scene. It's going to be a fun little scene.
Well, Josh, we'll wrap up, but thank you so much, man. And just seeing the wide variety of stuff you've been in, and your work with Look Mexico and your work in Walking Dead, it's an inspiration. It's fantastic, man. So keep it up and. Now it's time to plug away. Where can people follow you on social media? What should they check out? Plug away, man.
I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. You can search Joshua Mikel actor on Facebook. Joshua Mikel on Twitter. Instagram. I'm less exciting on Instagram. I think I don't know. I post my gardening stuff on Instagram. Check out Game Night, please, and the second half of season 8 of The Walking Dead. I'm not dead yet, so I'm still around. There's some good stuff to come.
Perfect. Well, Josh, thank you so much, and all the best in the future, man.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you so much.
No problem. Well, this has been Popternative. You can catch previous episodes of Popternative on YouTube for the video versions. For the audio versions, you can go wherever you listen to the podcasts. Until next time, this is PD Beats signing off. We hope you enjoy this, and be sure to also check out popternative.com for a lot more content, and we're going to be plugging our YouTube episodes there as well, and we want to get as much more subscribers, so please subscribe to our YouTube.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.